Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. On this week's episode, we feature Lou Shields, Richard Grewar, and Hard Travelin. If you'd like to know more about the artists on the show, visit thewhitewallsessions.com for features, links, and videos.
Check.
Lou Shields is an American folk artist who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Lou's unique front porch style of music continues the tradition of American music of the past. Lou is also an artist and frequently creates album art and show posters for himself and other musicians. Lou's latest record, Bad Axe Country, is available for download on Bandcamp.
Coming around here no more when I ain't been back home in such a long time. Dancing with you now, oh, you got me feeling fine, girl. I'm loving on you, hey, now, oh, I'm feeling alright now, well. Been on the road for nevermore now. Been driving the country and I can't take it no more. You know, I ain't been back home, but I'm heading on back this time. Alright now. Dance with you now, baby. Oh, you got me feeling fine, girl. Hey, now. Loving on you now, baby. Oh, I'm feeling alright now. Turn around for you, girl. I'm heading on back, you know I'm all loving on you. Alright, I ain't been back home, girl, but I'm heading right back this time now. Dancing with you, and oh, you got me feeling fine, so fine. I'm loving on you, girl. Yes, I'm feeling alright now, well.
Well, we had a great night here at the White Wall Sessions. We had Lou Shields in. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
You were from an interesting part of the country called the Driftless area. My grandfather grew up in Lansing, Iowa, which is pretty much right in the center of that. Southwest Wisconsin, northwest Iowa, southeast Minnesota. Tell me about that area.
Yeah, it's apparently it's unglaciated land, you know, and at least from what some of the theories are. And so they're saying that a couple glaciers came through during the Ice Age and smashed everything else down. Illinois got pancaked. Northern Wisconsin kind of northern Wisconsin was the higher point, I guess, and it rolled off of that and started rolling through where Milwaukee is today and smooshed all that down. And Indiana got pulverized quite a bit, and parts of Minnesota as well. But this one spot just kind of was ignored, apparently. That's what the theory says. And so what's there are monadnocks, I guess they call them, which is a building in Chicago. I put that on the FB one time, and everybody was talking about this building in Chicago. I'm like, I'm talking about a mountain. But I guess it's a piece of really hard rock that still is there. Everything else is washed away. And it's one of the theories, too, about those things. But there's all these just beautiful little bluffs and very, very ancient land that's there. Like all the rocks are fossilized, and you can't throw a rock literally without picking it up and finding something of ancient activity, in there, which is really neat, too.
So you grew up in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And what brought you to that part of the...
Well, it's kind of funny because I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago and was a skateboarder and doing all that kind of stuff, as a kid does. And I was always finding places like the ditch to hang out at, which was the cool place, And I think I was always attracted to moving water and natural stuff. But I was in the ditch and playing in the local suburban dump where all the concrete got dumped and whatever, really? That kind of stuff. Anyway, had that weird attraction going on. And my aunt lived in Ontario, Wisconsin, and we'd go up there all the time to visit. And it's right in the middle of the Driftless as well. Wildcat Mountain is right there. And so I was actually there as a kid and was heavily, I think, taken aback by it and absorbed with playing in the Kickapoo River and sandstone bluffs and all that kind of fun stuff. And that stuck with me, but I think I kind of lost it, and I was looking for it for years. And I did a lot of traveling in my adult life, and I was always trying to find it, I think. I had an obsession with Montana, and I'd go to the Rockies and Glacier National Park and go skateboarding and try to play shows and all kinds of stuff out that way. And there was something that kind of really filled me up when I got there, obviously. And I have that same feeling when I get to the Driftless, too. It's like a baby Montana, I was telling somebody. It's like this little bitty piece of preserved kind of wonderful fairyland, whatever you call it.
Yeah, because it is a beautiful area. So how long did it take you to get there? How many places did you go before you ended up there? You mentioned Montana.
Yeah, I've been to every state, except for obviously Alaska and Hawaii. I've been there. I've toured all over the country and as well as Europe, multiple times. And, I've lived in some different places too, but a lot of it was in my van, and just van camping and playing shows and finding skate parks to hit up and national parks to go and enjoy. And did that for a lot of years, somehow I met a lady, through playing music, and she had this Driftless tattoo on her arm, and I was like, "What the heck is that?"
Really?
And she explained it to me, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is the place."
So she brought you there.
Oh yeah, she brought me there. She found the cabin, She's the one that made the magic happen, and then I bought it. But we were lucky to find that place out near kind of Viroqua, Wisconsin.
You mentioned the cabin and kind of the front porch, sitting on the front porch playing, and you, for the people who are listening on the radio, you're sitting in a tall chair and there's sort of a porch. You brought your own portable porch with you. Did you build that?
Yep. I've always kind of been into this weird thing of making my stuff or having friends make instruments for me or whatever it might have been. And so this is kind of a continuation of that, I guess. And this is my front porch sound that I can drag along with me. It's kind of a pain in you-know-what sometimes because you got to move this thing all the time, but it elevates a little bit so you don't disappear in the crowd. And a lot of the places I play don't even have stages. Sometimes I have to bring my own PA and everything and set it up, and so I just bring the front porch with me, and then I'll be okay.
Well, and it really works because it's such an interesting look, and the porch is the instrument, like you say. And it really gives it that feel. Now, another thing that gives it that feel, I'm looking at these National guitars. Are those resonators there?
Yeah, these are, National resonator, resophonic guitars, yeah.
Oh, they are beautiful. So are they open tuned or standard tuned?
Yeah, this one I usually do open tuning, open G, open D. It's a single cone National guitar, and this other one over here is a tricone, so it's got three cones in here. And I usually use this for more finger style stuff, so I keep it in standard, but it's tuned a full step down, so it's actually D, but it's standard tuning.
How long have you been playing guitar?
Oh, gosh, 25 years or something like that, long time ago.
Did you sort of start off playing an acoustic and playing your favorite songs?
Oh yeah, well, before when I was a kid, I had a really interesting thing that you probably call a guitar, but and I figured out how to play with one finger. And the root note essentially was what I was doing. I was like trying to play punk songs and stuff, and then somebody finally told me about a power chord, and I was like, you can just 5 years of this, and I only knew this, And so I figured that out, and then later I started, getting more into it. I think after I was about 18 years old, I was kind of a late bloomer, but I had a lot of stuff by ear, and then I cut my fingers off when I was 18 years old. And I almost lost this thing that I really wanted to do really bad, which was play guitar. And so then I decided, I think I should take it seriously now because I still got a couple left, and then I'll do that. So,
well, again, for the people in the radio, there's your index finger on your right hand.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an important thing for playing guitar.
Yeah, it screws up my chances of being a Piedmont guy because you're supposed to do it with your index finger and your thumb, and if you want to be some kind of an amazing classical player, so I kind of do my own thing. I make it work,
And I suppose that really added to your own style because you're kind of the only one that can play that.
Yeah, and that was great because I play original tunes, so I like to try to learn other people's styles and other people's songs and try to learn from that, and add that to what I try to do, but that kind of helps too because I do my own thing,
Sure.
Yeah. So
when did you start writing your own songs?
Oh gosh, I think ever since I picked an instrument up, I was like doing weird stuff. It was always like that. It was kind of odd, I can remember, trying to be in a band like, in the late 80s or something and writing songs and doing weird stuff like that, right? That I wasn't really playing much at that time. I was still probably one finger. But it just always was something that I did that it just happens, And I can't make it happen. It just kind of, I can feel it when it's about to happen. Usually it's an accident and I'm like, I hear the whole thing. I play one chord and I can hear the whole, and then I'm playing it.
Really?
Pretty soon, yeah. Sometimes I have to keep working on these things and, changing them up. But a lot of times it's just like, okay, I better record that because if I don't, I forget it and it's gone,
Interesting.
So
when you're just kind of noodling on the guitar, is that how you write songs? Do they kind of lay out like you just...
Yeah, it can just come... sometimes it happens during a sound check, and people are like, did you just write a new song or what, man? I never heard that song, whatever. But other times it's when I'm practicing or, trying to figure out how to put together all the other things that I did. River, hike that trail, ride the day, walking all day, Wolf River way, maybe on by the fireside, by the old fireside, by the old fireside. Crickets roost down, end of the day. Ribbon ride, moonlit night. Right on back down by the fireside. By the old fireside. By the old fireside. Roost down, end of the day. Fire burning, feelings yearning. Get on right back down by the fireside.
folks. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Born in England, raised in Australia, and now living in the Black Hills of South Dakota, Richard's blend of rock, pop, and acoustic elements ignite a soundscape bursting with color, rhythm, and mood-altering intensity. In his session, Grewar served up a melting pot of looped acoustic overlays delivered in real time. Nothing is pre-recorded. Richard's last release, Cold Feet, was released in March of 2017 and is available on iTunes and wherever music is sold online.
On the surface, things are better than they seem to be underneath. Something's bubbling out of control, and I swear it's not me. For a second below level, we sense a purpose built, stack on top. True scale of new beginning start to fill the air, wrap on in. Do
We're happy to welcome Richard Grewar to the Whitewall Sessions. Welcome, Richard.
Well, thank you.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
So you were born in England.
Mm-hmm.
Where in England?
I was born in Southampton, which is, fun fact, the Titanic was partially made there. I think it launched from there as well.
Launched from there.
Fun fact.
Made in Belfast. Maiden voyage out of South. And then you grew up in Australia.
Yeah, so my parents, we immigrated from the UK to Australia when I was the tender age of 9, kicking and screaming, and then I kind of never looked back. Grew up there and have been back and forth a little bit, but I call Australia home out of those two places for sure.
And now home is in the Black Hills of beautiful
is.
South Dakota, right?
It absolutely is. And I'm very, very grateful to call the Black Hills home and South Dakota in general. I didn't think that a place like this could exist, you know, and during my set, we were kind of talking about it and that it is this kind of hidden gem or this kind of secret. It seems like this secret in the country and it's very cool. So I love it.
It is. It's beautiful. I mean, you know, I'm going to brag a little bit because I love this state more than anything, and I love everything about it. The winter, people say, "How do you get through those winters?" That's probably the most beautiful part of.
What's wrong with winter?
It's beautiful to look at, and even when it's 30 below, the sun rises and the sunsets are just incredible. So, how did you end up in South Dakota?
Yeah, so my wife's family are from Rapid originally, and another bit of useless trivia, I think her great-great-grandfather is one of the founders of Rapid. So their family goes kind of way back, and we were in Southern California, and you know the cost of living out there is horrendous, and we were ready for a little kind of slice of heaven ourselves, and this kind of felt like the best place to start looking, and Hill City, and we, you know, it took us all of half an hour, I think, to decide that that's what we were going to do, and then it was a matter of like, how do you kind of tell your respective employers and all that stuff. But
what was your experience when you first came to the Black Hills?
Well, thankfully, I'd before we moved here, I'd been a few times to kind of, you know, meet the parents and do all that stuff. But I wasn't sure what to expect. And when you get off the plane at Rapid City Regional, you know, it's fairly flat. You know, you drive through town. It's, oh, it's cool. This is cool. And then we keep going a little further, and we get to these kind of pine forests and billboards for caves and things like this. It's like this, and and as soon as I saw something for like a dinosaur museum, then I was sold. So my 7-year-old self is like, "You are never living anywhere else, buddy. This is it." So
there is one of everything out in the Black
exactly,
Hills, in the Cosmos area, and you know all that stuff.
I think I bought my sorry to cut you off. I bought my annual pass to the Hill City, the dinosaur museum there for like $7 or something silly like that. So it's like, I'll be a member.
You know, when you're in the hills, there's a bit of a debate which is better. You're in kind of the middle, but the northern hills and the southern hills both have their beauty. Have you been all up and down yet?
Not really. So more so just through like Nemo, a little bit of Spearfish, lead obviously for like skiing and stuff or snowboarding or whatever. But we haven't explored that much. So it will be a year for us next week, I think, since we moved here. To Hill City, and we've only really started to kind of find our feet, you know, and like exploring and getting out of our sort of little bubble and comfort zone. So looking forward to seeing more of it.
It's the way we live. It's the way we learn. It's the way we shed our tears. It's the reason we survive. It's the air that fills our lungs. It's the drive that fuels our suns. It's what simmers deep beneath our skin, and what will tie your hand to mine. Friends we've lost, and the rules we've taught always come back to bite us. Fools we've loved hang around like doves, only to fly when we need them. They fly when we need them. Too much of a good thing can never be a good thing. All good things must come to an end. Fade out, wait, fade out before it's too late. All good things must come to an end. Failure to compromise in a word leaves me paralyzed. I'm out. A rose in your line of sight will never beat a black dog in a bin of fight. Fade out, wait, fade out before it's too late. All good things must come to an end. Too much of a good thing can never be a good thing. All good things must come to an end. All good things must come to an end. Thank you.
Hard Travelin, a 5-piece string band from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, returned to the White Wall Sessions for Season 5. Drawing from the roots of bluegrass and old-time country, Hard Travelin puts a contemporary spin on those styles to create a unique sound of their own. Hard Travelin is Jack Rollins, guitar and vocals, Travis Jameson, bass and vocals, Andy Shaw, lap steel, Connor Peterson, mandolin and vocals, and Morgan Carnes, banjo and vocals.
Took a walk downtown and I watched myself, and I wandered all around and I couldn't tell what fell. Take my bags, I'm packing up. Oh, I've been gone too long. Think it's time I change my tune and write myself a new song. Little girl, what you waiting for? I'm on my way back home. You said you would come with me, but I think I'll go alone. Took a walk by the river, oh, the snow, it started to fall. Looked around for my shadow, and I wondered when I grown so tall. Said goodbye to the leaves that falling from the trees. Reached up to the sky, I dropped down to my knees. Little girl, what you waiting for? I'm on my way back home. You said you would come with me, but I think I'll go alone. These things are so easy. Why is it so hard to breathe? In the end, we're all alone. It's time to be free. Said, little girl, what you waiting for? I'm on my way back home. You said you would come with me, but I think I'll go alone. You said you would come with me, but I think I'll go alone.
Morning, everybody.
We're at the Whitewall Sessions. We have our old friends, Hard Travelin, back for a session tonight. Thanks and welcome, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir.
Jack Rollins, can I ask you to introduce the rest of the band?
Yeah. I guess on banjo, we have Morgan. On the mandolin, we have old Connor Doghouse Peterson.
Hello.
On the upright bass, we have Travis Jameson. And on the lap steel, we have Sneaky Andy Shaw.
And this is a band from the greatest little city on the planet, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Queen City.
And you all have been, you're no strangers to the Whitewall Sessions. Morgan, this is your first time. But you all have been in different projects, either together or separate. I started counting. There's Condor, there's Union Grove Pickers, Jack, Johnny, and Jameson, Jackson Magyar,
Magyar, and the Lightweight Travelers.
and Lightweight Travelers, and then Snakebeard Jackson. A lot of bands going on there. And I counted 29 strings tonight, but no drums. Is there a strict no drummer policy for all of you in your bands?
Funny you mentioned that, actually. We talked about adding drums at multiple parts,
But you got to find a stage big enough for drums. It's hard enough to fit the 5 of us on stage, let alone a drum set.
And I won't lie, let alone practice. Right now, we can set up in a living room anywhere, anytime, and have band practice and not bother the neighbors and not have to amplify. And adding a drummer obviously.
He's
It
being
changes
do
that
that.
entirely.
So a drummer, you have talked about it, but it never really has happened. Is that because of the style of music or because of the logistics?
A little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we started out more as a string band, and then, I mean, we do a lot of country tunes that it would be nice to have a drummer sometimes, but we're happy with where we're at right now. So,
This band has played with Connor, Travis, Jack, and Andy, and now we've added Morgan. So Aaron has left, but Morgan also brings in a banjo.
Yeah.
Morgan, how did you end up in this band, and what are your thoughts?
I can't actually remember how I ended up. The first time, I'm not really sure how I stumbled upon them. And then I ran into them at one of their shows.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. And I, said I was up here a lot, so I'd like to start playing again. So
Well, it's added quite a bit.
yeah, it really has. I mean, she adds some great songs and she has some nice harmonies, and it's nice to have some rhythm other than just me and guitar. And,
Clawhammer for sure.
Yeah, the Clawhammer. I noticed she was playing that.
yeah, she adds a real nice element to the band.
Yeah, there was one practice. Was it just one practice before she actually joined the band that she like played with us? I think after that, like something else happened, and then we went without her for a long time. And then I ran into you at the Halloween show again. We were like, oh, hey, and I unfortunately didn't even recognize you at that point. I was like, hey, my name's Connor. And she's like, yeah, we've met. And Phil was like, yeah, she's joining the band. I was like, all right, sweet. Finally, we have another female singer that we can play with, and not only does she sing well, that she can also play banjo really well too. So it was a slam dunk for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
I didn't think that she was going to make it through the audition process, but
It's rigorous.
it was pretty
Quite
strenuous.
rigorous.
Andy barely made it through there.
Yeah.
It is
I mean,
tough to, we were already a band, and it was like, here's our master set list, and she looked and was like, that's a lot of songs, but she's dove right in and held her own in a band of 4 dudes.
And 4 dudes that have played for quite a while. Morgan, have you played before in other bands?
yeah, and I'm kind of used to playing with a lot of men. The country folk scene is dominated by men, it seems like, especially over on this side of the state. And so at this point, I'm used to it. I don't know.
That's right. Unfortunately, so.
So I do want to talk about the history of you guys and what you've done. I mean, we talked about Snakebeard Jackson, we talked about Condor and all this, and those projects, some of them are still active. And so sort of the modern era of the music scene really started with a lot of the people in this room. What is your role in that music scene? I mean, so Snakebeard Jackson kind of came in and really said, hey, this is what kind of cool bluegrass music sounds like, and it really changed things.
Well, I guess I gotta think that I don't really think of it that way. I think about getting together and playing music with a group of people, and what comes out of that comes out of that. It's not really like designed to, this is what we're going to play. I mean, in this band, when did we start playing together with, as Jack Rollins? I mean, that
Probably
was
like 6 years ago, I would say.
so like we've been playing long enough that we just know a catalog of these old bluegrass songs. So that's kind of what they end up being. But with our current lineup, I guess I got to think enough people write songs that it's that we sound like we end up sounding. You know what I mean? Like there's no I don't have a ton of foresight into thinking about, Andy needs to do this and, Morgan needs to do that. It's more about how's everybody feeling about it. And it's kind of always been that way for me personally. It's not really about, I don't go into it thinking, let's make this with Snakebeard like rock country band. That wasn't my thought at all. It was get together, let's play some tunes, let's see what happens. And that came from there. And I feel like we kind of did the same thing.
It just so happens that to work out, I guess, the fact that we all like bluegrass music and we all love country music. And coming into this band, I wasn't super into country music, but the more that we played it and the more that these tunes came out, and I started listening to Graham Parsons and all those guys that really started the whole country hippie
Hank Williams.
music. And Hank Williams, yeah.
No, he's
well, I
gone.
mean, yeah. To start off with all that stuff, and I didn't know a whole lot of bands around the area that played bluegrass music and country music and stuff like that around here that regularly gig. And so to me, like where you asked if what's our place in this whole thing is, I feel like we play this style of music that I don't see a whole lot of other people playing in town. So it's kind of cool to play it and to hopefully get other bands to get out there and then play that kind of style too. Not to say that there's any other people that don't do it, but to get more and more people, I would just love to see that, because there's not a whole lot of it out there in South Dakota, unfortunately. But
yeah, and I would say 4 years ago, you probably actually picked up the mandolin. You weren't really
He's a cello player by chance.
yeah, he wasn't really. It in the hallway of the bathroom of Latitude 44. I said, "You want to be the mandolin player in Jack, Johnny, and Jameson?" And he was all about it. And he's really come along as a mandolin player. And then, I mean, Andy, 3 years ago, you started playing. 2 years ago, started doing the lap steel. So, I mean, it just kind of progressed. You know, this is what we hear. This is what we want to add. And, I mean, it's nice to have people around that are talented enough to be like, here's a mandolin, and he tears it up, and here's a lap steel, and tears it up. So, I mean, it's nice to have.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a little more forceful than that.
It was. I was like, if you don't learn in 12 months.
Physical violence.
Physical violence.
Yeah. They hold a knife to my neck.
Well,
And you notice how pretty his
worked.
face still looked? Yeah, he got there. It's fine.
Yeah, well, Latitude 44 really incubated a whole lot of music in Sioux Falls. And I know Jack and Andy both ran open mics down there, so that really contributes to the music scene too.
I'm tired of one story moving through your head. I've been going through your mind while you're sailing off to bed. But I can't be there, dear. Oh, I'll be down the line. No, I can't be there, dear. 'Cause I'll be down the line. I was dreaming of last winter. We were lying on our backs. I see legs, the wind blowing in. Can't be there, dear. 'Cause I'll be down the line. No, I can't be there, dear. 'Cause I'll be down the line. I can't be there, dear. 'Cause I'll be down the line. No, I can't be there, dear. 'Cause I'll be down the line.
Thank you. Peanut butter.
If you'd like to know more about the artists we feature, visit thewhitewallsessions.com. The White Wall Sessions Radio is recorded and produced at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Last Stop Studios is located in the lower level of the Last Stop CD shop at 2121 East 10th Street in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Executive producers are Jeff Zuger and Doug Taylor. Head of broadcast engineering is Dave Palmer. Audio technicians are Chad Conrad, Carl Koiser, and Dave Palmer. Audio mixing is Chad Conrad. Associate producer is Michael Yeager. Scheduling and sales is Tom Eisner. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. Join us again next week for another edition of the White Wall Sessions Radio.